Mr. Minchington, you are probably the world's leading specialist for the topic of employer branding. And you are stating, your message is that employer branding is a topic that becomes more and more critical to the success of companies worldwide. Why is that?
Yeah, the reason why it's become such a big topic for organisations is the scarcity of talent. So there's external market factors, we've got ageing populations, we've got increasing migration and mobility, especially of younger people, globalisation. So these factors are forcing companies in this direction. So where there's a scarcity of anything, it causes organisations to rethink their approach. So where there was an abundant supply of talent, the focus wasn't as great. So companies are now starting to look strategically as how they attract and retain their talent. So employees are staying less, so they're not, the jobs for life concept is no longer with us. So companies are taking a much more strategic approach as to how they manage the employment experience, and the key part of that is what promises do they put to the external market so that the people that they want to attract are hearing these messages and are engaged by what's on offer, and importantly when people join these organisations that the promise is actually delivered on, and that's the key message, and that's why organisations are now starting to invest in the strategy. They've always been doing employer branding at some level, because an organisation has an employer brand just by its sheer existence, but companies are now investing in the strategic approach to how they attract and retain talent. It's getting much more competitive.
So it's climbing in the agenda of more and more companies.
Most certainly. I mean,
next years.
Yeah, 4 years ago when I was writing my book, there was nothing on the topic at that particular time, and there's a lot of students doing PhDs on it now. There's books published in many different languages, and it's getting massive media exposure around the world. So we were just talking about the last 3 or 4 years. So it's really accelerated, and that's only going to improve the art and science around employer branding. We're all still learning this topic. Companies are still learning this topic, and we're learning different ways to do it.
Speaking of companies, which names come to your mind first? When you think of benchmarks in this field, who is ahead of the crowd?
Yeah, well, let me just say first that any company that has a clear proposition, right, to the type of people that they're trying to attract and retain, right, is a benchmark employer brand firm, okay? And they're everywhere, large companies, small companies, medium-sized companies. The ones that are most visible are the Googles, the Apples, the Chevrons, the Philips, these global organisations that have invested heavily in corporate and consumer branding, right?
Any ones you can think of in Europe or in Germany?
IKEA is a standout. When IKEA opened in our part of the world, there was a big rush of people wanting to work there. It's got a really strong emotive connection. The key challenge for all of these type of benchmarks brands is that how do they actually retain these people once they're there? So they're not successful companies over the long term for any other reason that they do invest strategically in their talent. So there's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes. So a strong corporate brand doesn't necessarily mean you've got a strong employer brand, but Google's quite clear on what they offer when you join there. Okay, so it's very competitive to get in there, and same with Apple. Very clear, compelling, strong design, very contemporary, cutting edge, best practice, and that's attracting the right type of people. So their messages are clear. A lot of companies are very complex about how they communicate out, and there's 40 different messages going out, but the benchmarks are those that are very simply understood. They're relevant to the target audience, they're unique, and they've got a differentiated offering. Okay, so the talent has a choice: do I go there or do I go there? Those companies actually speak those type of messages with clarity.
So now employer branding has different dimensions, of course. It's about attracting people, it's about the engagement of people, and of course about retention. So when you think of a company that has never dealt with the topic at all, where to start? Sure.
Companies, as I said before, are dealing with it on a daily basis. Yeah? From a strategic point of view, where's your starting point? The starting point is really inside. So understanding, what is unique about this organisation. So what actually motivates and attracts people at the rational level and also at the emotional level, we need to find that out. So the only way we're going to do that is we're going to guess what it is, or we're going to do some detailed research. So both that are company-wide, so it might be online surveys, and the other is
amongst the employees.
Amongst the employees, so start on the inside, because they're living the experience on a daily basis, and also some qualitative research, so to be able to drill down to a different level with a smaller group, but really trying to understand what emotionally connects people to this organisation, because the latest global research shows that the reputation of an organisation as a great place to work is the key driver of retention. Okay, so we know it's critical and we know it's very important. So the starting point is to work through a rational strategic process, understand who we are, where do we want to go to, what type of messages do we need to be putting out to the market and also internally, so that we're attracting and retaining the right type of fit. Okay, so we covered this morning in the Masterclass a logical strategic process that covers enough particular areas to be able to give us some starting point. Okay, too many companies rush into this and start investing and spending, and then realise down the track that what are we doing?
It's been a waste.
Correct. So I encourage companies to spend 6 months, 12 months, get the strategy right. Strategy right, because your employer brand is for the long term. Okay, so it's not about getting it right by the end of the year. It's about getting it done and getting it right in the first place.
Is there anywhere in the internet where we can follow your worldwide research on the topic?
Yeah, sure. We set up a global community, employerbrandingonline.com. So we have vendors, companies, strategists from all around the world contributing news and articles. We have a lot of free resources there as well. So companies and vendors can bring down best practice, but it's really about the community providing information and content, so that we get a diversity of views on this as well. All right, so and that's been quite exciting. We've got the key vendors around the world investing into the site, and we've got practitioners and company and employer brand leaders throughout the world actually contributing content. So it's our space, and it's created a really good meeting place for interested employer brand people.
Okay, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.